Stop looking at your cat for a second. Listen. That meow you just heard? It wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a hello. It was a targeted biological exploit. In the wild, adult cats almost never meow at each other. It's a sound reserved for kittens and their mothers. Yet, your cat has spent 10,000 years perfecting a custom-built frequency designed to bypass your logic and trigger your deepest caretaking instincts. Today, I am making you a promise. By the end of this video, you will never hear your cat the same way again. I'm going to reveal the biological protocol cats use to hijack the human brain, and for the first time, I'll show you exactly how to decode the manipulation. The silence of the wild. Go to any feral cat colony, and you'll notice something eerie. It's quiet. Feral cats communicate through scent, body posture, and slow blinks. To them, a meow is an evolutionary weakness. It reveals their position to predators. So why is your living room so loud? Because your cat has realized that you are acoustically blind. You don't smell the pheromones on their cheeks. You don't notice the subtle flick of their tail. To get what they want, they had to invent a language that you couldn't ignore. The 500 Hz weapon, the baby mimic. This is where the science becomes unsettling. Human brains are biologically tuned to respond to the sound of infant distress. For thousands of years, ignoring a baby's cry could mean the difference between life and death. And that distress signal usually falls between 400 and 600 Hz. Now remember that number, because researchers at the University of Sussex discovered something strange. When cats want food or attention, they often hide a high-frequency cry inside their meow. Not loud enough for you to consciously notice, but strong enough for your nervous system to react to instantly. Your brain doesn't process it as just noise. It processes it as urgency, which means the moment your cat meows, your brain may already be shifting into caretaking mode before you even realize it. And once you understand that, something about cat ownership starts to feel very different. Because cats didn't evolve stronger claws to survive around humans. They evolved a sound that humans psychologically struggle to ignore. Visual synergy, the pupil trick. By now, one thing should be clear. The manipulation isn't just happening through sound, it's visual too. When cats want attention, food, or an immediate response, their pupils often become dramatically larger. And whether humans consciously realize it or not, large eyes trigger something powerful inside the human brain. Psychologists call this the Kinchen schema, or infant schema, a set of visual traits associated with babies. Large eyes, soft features, small faces. Features that humans are biologically wired to perceive as vulnerable, harmless, and emotionally important. And cats happen to activate many of those same responses extraordinarily well. So when your cat meows with widened pupils staring directly at you, your brain isn't just processing an animal. It may be reacting to one of the oldest caregiving triggers humans possess, which means the sound and the visual are working together. A coordinated signal designed not to threaten you, but to emotionally pull your attention toward them. Neuro-Hijacking, the amygdala. What actually happens inside your brain when your cat hits that frequency? Researchers believe the sound may activate parts of the brain linked to emotional attention and urgency, especially the amygdala, the system involved in detecting emotionally significant signals. And that reaction can feel surprisingly physical, a sudden pull to look over, a small sense that something needs immediate attention, an urge that's difficult to ignore even when you know the cat was fed 10 minutes ago. Because your brain doesn't interpret the sound as meaningless background noise, it interprets it as something important. And the unsettling part is how fast that reaction happens. Long before you consciously decide to respond, your nervous system may already be shifting your attention toward the cat, which means your cat isn't just asking for food. It may be triggering a deeply automatic human response that evolved thousands of years before cats ever entered our homes. The vocabulary of one, custom hacking. Your cat may not be speaking cat anymore. It may be speaking you. Researchers have found that cats can develop vocal patterns unique to the humans they live with. Over time, they appear to adjust the pitch, the length, even the rhythm of their meows, based on which sounds get the strongest reaction from their owner. In other words, your cat may slowly learn which specific sound makes you look over, stand up, or respond immediately. And that pattern can become surprisingly personalized. A meow that instantly grabs your attention might do absolutely nothing to someone else, because your cat isn't just communicating. It may be studying your reactions in real time, quietly refining a vocal strategy built around your behavior, which means after years of living together, your cat may understand exactly which sound your brain struggles to ignore. The Solicitous Purr, the Trojan Horse. By now, the manipulation should already feel uncomfortable, but the meow isn't the most sophisticated sound your cat can make. The real masterpiece is the purr, because most people hear a purr and instantly associate it with comfort, trust, and affection, and that's exactly why it works. Researchers discover that some cats can hide a high-frequency distress signal inside an otherwise soothing purr. This is known as the Solicitous Purr, a biological Trojan horse. On the surface, the sound feels calming, almost therapeutic, but hidden inside it is a sharper frequency, pattern designed to trigger attention and urgency. So while one part of your brain is relaxing, another part is quietly being pulled into caretaking mode. And that psychological contradiction is incredibly difficult for humans to ignore, because the sound never feels aggressive. It feels emotionally important, which means your cat can create pressure inside your nervous system without ever sounding threatening. And once you recognize that pattern, some purrs stop sounding like affection and start sounding like strategy. Evolutionary betrayal. Why lions are silent. If meowing is so effective, why don't lions or tigers do it? Because in the world of apex predators, silence is survival. Large wildcats rely on stealth, control, ambush. Unnecessary sound reveals position, weakens the hunt, and attracts danger. But house cats entered a completely different environment, human civilization. And inside human homes, physical strength mattered less than psychological influence. So instead of evolving to overpower us, cats adapted to emotionally engage us. They became smaller, more social, more vocal, not because they became weak, but because they discovered something far more effective in the human world. Humans respond faster to perceived vulnerability than to dominance. And over thousands of years, that strategy worked extraordinarily well, because while humans believed they were domesticating cats, cats were quietly evolving behaviors that made humans want to care for them. The psychological cost over communication. But there's another side to this relationship that most people never think about. What happens when the manipulation works too well? In modern homes, some cats become highly over-vocalized, not because they are naturally talkative, but because the brain quickly learns which behaviors get rewarded. If every meow immediately leads to food, attention, or stimulation, the vocal behavior becomes reinforced over and over again. And over time, some cats can begin relying more on constant human response than on natural behaviors like exploring, hunting, or independent play. This can create a cycle of chronic overstimulation, where the cat becomes increasingly reactive, impatient, and emotionally dependent on immediate feedback from humans. Which means the problem isn't always the meow itself. Sometimes it's the communication loop we accidentally build around it. Because when a cat learns that every sound controls the environment, silence can start to feel uncertain. And that may be one reason some indoor cats appear restless, anxious, or unable to fully relax even inside safe homes. So how do you tell the difference? How do you know when your cat is expressing a genuine need and when it's simply using a behavior that has worked on you before? The answer is usually not a single sound. It's the pattern. A genuine need is often more persistent, less performative, and connected to a real change in the cat's environment or condition. But attention-seeking vocalizations tend to become rhythmic, repetitive, and strangely timed around human behavior. Right when you sit down, right when you stop paying attention, right when the environment becomes quiet. Because the cat has learned, those moments are psychologically effective. And over time, humans can accidentally reinforce that loop without realizing it. Every immediate reaction teaches the brain this sound works. Which means the goal isn't to ignore your cat completely, it's to stop rewarding every vocal demand automatically. Because sometimes the healthiest thing for both the human and the cat is rebuilding a relationship that isn't controlled entirely by constant stimulation and response. At the beginning of this video, I told you that you would never hear your cat the same way again, and now you probably won't. Because once you recognize the pattern, the timing, the repetition, the behaviors that consistently trigger your attention, the sound stops feeling random. You begin noticing the system behind it. So here's the experiment. For the next 24 hours, don't react to the first meow immediately. Wait a few seconds longer than usual and watch carefully. Does the pitch change? Does the rhythm become more repetitive? Do they move closer? Do they try an entirely different strategy? Because the moment the expected response disappears, you start seeing how adaptive the behavior really is. And that doesn't make your cat manipulative in some evil way. It makes them extraordinarily effective at learning what works. That's one of the reasons cats became so successful around humans. Not through force, not through dominance, but through behaviors humans developed an emotional instinct to respond to. And once you notice that pattern, something about cat behavior starts feeling very different. Because once you understand one behavior, you start questioning all the others.